Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel. Please like this video and subscribe. Hit the notification bell so you know when I go live or new content loads. So today, this is the promised apple fritter video. Now, it's the first time that I'm making the recipe, so I guess we're going to find out together how it is. So here's the recipe in my book. I have pre-measured out the ingredients. So we have both of the flours here. We have half a cup of brown sugar, 2 teaspoons of baking powder. I have all the spices together, which is 1 teaspoon of cinnamon, half a teaspoon of nutmeg, a 1/4 teaspoon of allspice, and a 1/4 teaspoon of salt. 6 tablespoons of cold butter, chopped, half a cup of milk, 1 egg, and 1 cup of chopped apples, which I've put some cinnamon on top of them as well. Here are the spices that have been used. Oh, and the baking soda. I use A2 milk because my grandson has an allergy, so I like to make things that he can have too. So we always use the A2 milk for anything that could be community eating. And for things that we're just going to eat ourselves, we use lactose-free milk. So the oven is preheated. I've made a caramel glaze for it. I pre-made the glaze. So it says whisk together the dry ingredients. So here's all the flours whisked. I'll put in the baking soda. Whisk together. Set that aside for when I need it in a minute. I always use my KitchenAid mixer. It's the only kind of mixer that I like, really. Here we are putting the butter in. And we cut it together with the pastry cutter until it forms forms like crumbs. And when you see the butter getting broken up in it, and then for the next part, we're going to move over to the KitchenAid mixer. Wait, here in the corner, we'll dump this in the KitchenAid. And we're going to put our wet ingredients in now. So now we're going to add the milk, the vanilla, the brown sugar, So these ingredients we're going to whisk together so we can add them all at the same time, and they'll mix better that way. Put the vanilla in. We're going to mix these together until they're just combined. So we want a thick dough consistency. Here's the consistency we want for the and then use a silicone spatula to gently fold in the apples. Now I have the baking sheet set up. I have it prepped with parchment paper. I have the oven preheated to 400 degrees. We have to bake for a little bit at that temperature. And while they're baking, I'm going to make the glaze for these. The recipe calls for 1/4 cup size apple fritters. I think I'm going to make them 1/8 of a cup size because they don't take quite as long to cook for the video purposes, and we can get a few more out of the batch. At the smaller size, we'll start timing them at about 8 minutes before we kick it over to broiler. So here's a 1/4 cup. So then we're going to do it about half of that. Of course it's going to stick on video. Why wouldn't it? And then just drop them in piles. Yeah, I think I'm just going to use the tablespoon. Of course, the chunks of apples are not uniform, so some people get them with lots of apples. Some people get not so many apples. But that's the joy of homemade baking. Each one's different. If we want uniform, we have to buy them from the grocery store. One of my next videos coming up, I'm going to make my father's favorite peanut butter cookies. They're my grandma's recipe. My father would come down on the weekends, and when he'd come down and I'd be cooking, if I was cooking when he was down, he'd sit in the kitchen and watch me. He always told my sister that drove for him. He always said he liked coming down and watching me cook because he'd get to eat it after. So I guess that's the one good part about watching. If you're on site when we're trying a new recipe, you get to taste it. Guinea pigs are always welcome. I have an in-house guinea pig that's going to be taste testing these for us today. Not on camera. And I will give you the report of what the verdict was. Alexa, set timer 8 minutes. So we're going to clean out this bowl because this is what we're going to make our glaze in. And for the glaze, we're going to use a whisk attachment for the KitchenAid. So that we can whisk it. The glaze is 2 tablespoons of milk, a teaspoon of vanilla, and 1 cup of confectioner sugar. So now, depending on the consistency of the glaze, sometimes we add just a little bit more milk. We want a thinner glaze for this one because we're also going to coat them in cinnamon sugar. So I give this a scrape. And here we have the glaze. We put some of the glaze on before they're done, and then we continue broiling the apple fritters. We'll just check them over here. They're coming along nicely. So I like trying new recipes, and please leave comments in the comment section if you want to see a recipe. If I haven't tried it, I will try it. Maybe I have tried it and I'll do it again. So when I'm not working, cooking and baking relaxes me. Next Sunday, I'm going to do a homemade sauce recipe. I'm thinking probably baked ziti. Maybe lasagna, but most likely baked ziti. That's one of our in-house favorites. And then I'll do some garlic bread with cheese with it, a homemade bread. But that'll be next Sunday. And like I said, if there's anything you want to see baked or a recipe you want to see put together, let me know in the comment section. I forgot which drawer I put my pastry brushes in. Here they are. They were right at my fingertips. So we have to check the bottoms of these. Alexa, what's left on timer?
You have 1 minute and 50 seconds left on your 2-minute timer.
So we have 2 minutes left on the timer for that. And then we'll see how they look. So for the caramel sauce, I pre-made the caramel sauce for them. And that is a cup of brown sugar, packed light brown sugar, and 1/3 cup of heavy cream, and a teaspoon of vanilla, and 6 tablespoons of butter. So the vanilla enhances the flavor of it. So how we did that is we melt the butter. Once it's all melted, we put the cream, the vanilla, and the sugar in the pot. Stir it, dissolve it, bring it to a boil, and boil it for 3 minutes, no longer. Now it doesn't look this thick when you first stopped boiling it, but it does thicken up as it sits. When it's first made fresh, which is part of the reason I had to pre-do it, it's really hard to use for a glaze for a donut or an apple fritter. It always has to sit to thicken. And it's better than any caramel that you'll buy in the store because you know exactly what's in it. Alexa, stop. So here they are out of the oven. We're going to check the bottom of them. See if the bottom has started to brown yet. It's just beginning to brown. So in the middle set. So we're going to give it 2 more minutes And then we're going to take them out and put them on broiler. Before we put them on broiler, we do a thin layer of the glaze over top. The worst part of baking is, of course, the cleanup, but it has to be done so we can bake more stuff. If we didn't do it, then I'd have no baking utensils to use. So that's how we do it, but I like to pre-rinse everything first. So while we're waiting for that, I'm going to rinse these utensils, and I will do the full cleanup after the video. I like to soak the silverware or the spoons or whatever. I usually take one of the bowls and let them soak in the hot water in that with a bit of soap. Dawn is the best for cleaning utensils. Gets you lots of bubbles. Gets things nice and clean. Takes any oils off it. So it's not just for ducks. It's for baking stuff too. There we go. That's all set aside. Alexa, what's left on timer?
There are no timers set.
It's been about 1 minute. Alexa, set 1 minute timer.
1 minute, starting now.
So this is my Try New Recipes book. It's recipes I want to make happen. So I bought this book at the dollar store to write new recipes in. And so far I've made most of them happen. And they've turned out pretty good. Once we go on to broil, I'm going to have to raise the wire rack on the oven. Just by one position. It's starting to smell good. We're coming up on pumpkin season. My dog doesn't take well to canned pumpkin. Alexa, stop. So I make him treats, but canned pumpkin doesn't agree with him. So since we're coming up on fall, I'll be able to make him some homemade treats using real pumpkin, which agrees with him the best. He made a bit of a mess when I used the canned pumpkin. So we don't want that, so we're going to use real pumpkins for the Buddy biscuits. Okay, so here we have them here, they're set. We'll just do a light coating of this over top. And then we save some glaze for after as well. stray apple. Trying to get away. That's a good sign that they're moving freely, that they're at the consistency that we need them at. If they weren't done enough, then they wouldn't move on there. So now, because we have homemade caramel, we're going to drizzle just a little bit of caramel on half of them. We're going to do this batch half and half with caramel and half without. So I guess we'll do the small one here with caramel because we have an odd number. And now we're going to put them back in on broil for 4 minutes. So for our cinnamon sugar mixture that we're going to drizzle on them, I make my cinnamon sugar mixture. I make it pretty much half and half, but I use a more coarse sugar on it. And then if you want any of your baked goods to look pretty, you can use the edible glitter from Wilton or the coarse sugar sprinkles. That's just coarse sugar. And that's where you get the shiny look on baked goods. But we're going to give a couple of them a little squirt of glitter. I guess it's not a squirt, it's a spray. So the glitter looks nice on cakes, birthday cakes, anything at Christmas. I do a cupcake platter. It's shaped like a Christmas tree, and it has an angel embossed on it. But you have to eat the cupcakes to see the angel. So I make cupcakes, and I'll put green frosting on them. And I'll spray them with like a white glitter. Kind of looks like a little bit like snow. And then use candy sprinkles as decorations. And it usually comes out pretty nice, and people like it. Okay, our fritters are bubbling nicely. These are baked fritters. Normally donuts are deep fried. Because there's butter in the caramel and butter in the recipe with the broiling, they look the same as deep fried ones, in my opinion. I've seen them. I haven't made them before, but I've been on site when somebody else made them. And I've made other donuts this way. Once we have them out, we're going to put them on the platter to put our cinnamon sugar on some of them. We're going to do some with, some without. We'll have a mix. Alexa, what's left on timer?
There are no timers set.
Alexa, set timer, 2 minutes.
Starting now.
Sometimes I think Alexa's just sick of hearing me talk. So, I really, really relax when I'm baking and cooking. I've got recipes for shepherd's pie. That was always a favorite, too. My kids get me to make shepherd's pie for them. I guess one day I'm going to have to give them the recipe for how I make it. But not today. For now, it will be Grandma's secret recipe, because my one grandson loves shepherd's pie. So, I guess that's my way of getting them over for dinner. Bring the baby over for the shepherd's pie he loves. I don't have to use that to get them over. So we have the longer we go along, the more the caramel thickens up. And any leftover caramel can be stored in a mason jar in the refrigerator. You can keep it in the refrigerator for up to 3 weeks, or you can freeze it for up to 2 months. Once it's in the refrigerator or the freezer, it firms up, so you will have to heat it up to get it back to consistency. Alexa, stop. Well, here we are at the moment of truth. That's a non-caramel one. The caramel makes a bit of a mess on the pan. No matter what you bake with caramel, it makes a bit of a mess on the pan, but it doesn't stay messy on the baked goods. In this case, it's apple fritters. We might need a second plate for that last one. These 4 here are non-caramel ones. Let's see if we can fit that last guy in there to get them glazed. Maybe we can. Should be able to. Move this guy over here. Now we're going to put the rest of our glaze. We're going to concentrate on these ones without the caramel for the glaze, because the other ones are going to get cinnamon, sugar, and a little bit more dash of caramel. And then, of course, we have to let the glaze harden up. The refrigerator helps. It may be way too hot to eat right now anyway. We'd burn our tongues. So there we go. Put a little bit of glaze on that one. Just use up the rest of it. And that's it. We're out of glaze. Now we're going back to the caramel. And then we're going to shake our cinnamon sugar over the caramel ones. And there we have our homemade apple fritters. So I will let you know if they were a hit or not. I will go in the comments after my in-house guinea pigs test them and let you know if they were liked or not. Thank you for viewing this video. Please like and subscribe and hit the notification bell. And let me know what recipes you want. We'll do future recipes. There's a little bit of the glitter on it. Because girls like to bling. Thanks, everybody. Have a good day. Happy Sunday.